Most people are safe in their beds at 3 a.m., but for those working the night shift, the world is a very different place, and sometimes you aren't as alone as you think.
When you work the graveyard shift at a gas station off the highway, you think you know what to expect. You get used to the drunks, the lost travelers, the weirdos asking for directions at 3 a.m. You assume the thick glass of the booth separates you from them. It makes you feel safe. But that glass isn't as thick as you think. And sometimes the danger isn't the guy screaming at the front door trying to get in. It's the one you don't see until he's already inside with you. This happened back in 2018. I was 22 at the time, working at a 24-hour gas station in a quiet rural area to pay for community college. It was a Tuesday, usually the quietest night of the week. Around 3:15 a.m., the store was dead quiet, the kind of quiet that hurts your ears after a while. I was standing behind the counter, mindlessly scrolling on my phone. The low, rhythmic hum of the slushy machine was the only sound in the entire place. Everything felt standard. A few long-haul trucks had passed earlier on the main road, but for the last hour, the lot had been completely empty. Just me and the fluorescent lights. Then, without any warning, I saw the car. I didn't hear an engine rumble. I didn't hear tires crunching on the gravel. I just looked up from my screen, and there it was, a dark gray sedan, older model, parked at the pump furthest from the store, right at the edge of the darkness where the lights fade out. The headlights were off. The dome light was off. Nobody was getting out to pump gas. It was just sitting there, facing the store, like a predator waiting in tall grass. I watched it for about 2 minutes, just staring. Usually people hop out immediately. They pump gas, maybe come inside for a Red Bull or a pack of smokes, but nothing moved. The window tint was illegal, completely black. You couldn't see a silhouette. You couldn't see movement, nothing. That's when I felt it, that prickly feeling on the back of your neck, that primitive instinct telling you something is wrong. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe they were sleeping. Maybe they were checking their GPS. I decided to ignore it and pretend I was busy stocking cigarettes, but I couldn't focus. I kept glancing up at the security monitor, watching that unmoving car. 10 minutes passed. It felt like an hour. The car still hadn't moved an inch. That's when the phone rang. It made me jump out of my skin. But it wasn't the store line. It was the internal line, the one connected to the manager's office in the back. I stared at it, confused. The manager wasn't there. I was the only employee on site. My hand was shaking as I picked it up. "Hello?" I whispered. Silence. Then a soft, deliberate click. Someone had picked up the extension in the back office and hung up. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought it would burst. The back office is locked from the outside. The only way in is through the rear delivery door, a door I had double-locked at midnight. Then I heard it, a heavy, wet boot step on the tile floor in the back hallway. The realization hit me at all once. The sedan outside was a decoy. It was there to keep my eyes on the front window, so I wouldn't notice the back door being pried open. They had already been inside with me for minutes. I didn't wait to see a face. I dropped the phone, grabbed my car keys from the counter, and sprinted for the front glass doors. As my hand hit the push bar, I heard the door to the main floor slam open behind me. A deep, angry voice shouted, "Hey, get him!" I didn't look back. I didn't hesitate. I ran to my car, fumbled with the lock, threw myself inside, and tore out of the lot, tires screeching on the pavement. I drove about 2 miles up the road until I saw a police cruiser sitting at a speed trap. I flagged him down, barely able to breathe. By the time the sheriff and I got back to the station, the gray sedan was gone. The back delivery door had been crowbarred open. The metal was twisted. They took the entire cash drawer and about 50 cartons of cigarettes. I quit the next morning via text message. I never went back to pick up my last check. The money wasn't worth my life. The police told me something later that still keeps me awake. The phone line to the station had been cut from the outside box before they entered, which means when the phone rang, they weren't calling from outside. They were already standing in the office, watching me on the security monitors, toying with me before they made their move.
Security work is 99% boredom and 1% pure adrenaline. You spend hours walking in circles, convincing yourself the noise you heard was just the building settling or the AC kicking on. But in a 12-story corporate office at night, the building doesn't breathe. It waits. And when you hear footsteps on the floor above you, knowing you were the only person with a key card, you realize very quickly that you aren't alone. I was 26 at the time, working security for a large tech firm in a downtown area. It was a monitor and patrol gig, pretty simple. Sit at the desk, watch the cameras, walk the floors every 2 hours, go home. It was a rainy Thursday in November. The building was supposed to be completely empty. The cleaning crews had packed up and left at 10 p.m. It was now 2 a.m. The only sound was rain hitting the glass of the lobby doors. I was on the 4th floor doing a routine check of the server room door. The silence was absolute. Then I heard it. The elevator dinged. Not on my floor. It came from the 5th floor, directly above my head. My blood ran cold. The elevators are locked down at night. You need a verified security badge to call one or move between floors. I grabbed my radio and clicked it. "Hey, did you send an elevator up from the lobby?" The guard at the front desk replied immediately. His voice was tense. "Negative. I'm staring at the panel right now. Car 2 just moved to floor 5 on its own. I don't see a badge scan on the log." "That's impossible," I muttered. "I know," he said. "Be careful." I walked toward the stairwell door. I didn't want to go up there, but I had to. It was my job. I entered the 5th floor slowly. It was a massive open-plan office, a maze of cubicles, desks, and shadows. It was dead silent. I swept my flashlight beam across the room. The light caught dust motes hanging in the air. "Security," I called out. "Make yourself known." Nothing. As I walked deeper into the room, something caught my eye. A desk near the window. The computer monitor was on. Not a screensaver. Active. A Word document was open. The cursor blinked on the screen like someone had just been typing seconds earlier. I walked toward the desk. My hand rested on my baton. The office chair was spinning, just slightly. A slow, gentle rotation, back and forth, like someone had jumped out of it the moment they heard my keys jingle. I put my hand on the seat cushion. It was warm. I froze. From the cubicle directly behind me, I heard it. A cough. Soft, wet, suppressed. Someone was trying to stay quiet, but they couldn't hold it in. I slowly lowered my flashlight beam toward the floor. Under the gap of the partition wall, I saw them. A pair of bare, dirty feet standing perfectly still on the carpet. Someone was on the other side of that thin fabric wall, waiting for me to walk past. I backed up slowly, creating distance. My hand tightened around my taser. I whispered into the radio, "Intruder, 5th floor, call PD now. He's right in front of me." As soon as I spoke, the feet shifted. They turned toward me. I didn't try to be a hero. I retreated to the stairwell, locked the heavy door behind me, and held it shut until police arrived with the K9 unit. They swept the floor and found a man hiding above the ceiling tiles in the break room. He had been living in the building for 3 weeks. He used an old employee badge he found in the trash to move around at night. They found a stash of food wrappers, empty water bottles, a sleeping bag tucked away in the ventilation shaft. On his bed in the ceiling, they found a small notebook. Inside was a list of names. Mine was the 3rd one down. Next to my name, he had written the exact times of my patrols for the last week. He hadn't just been hiding, he had been studying me.
Hotels at night are transient places. People come, they sleep, they leave. You act polite, you check them in, then you forget them.
But sometimes, a guest checks in with no intention of sleeping. And when you're the only employee in the building, miles away from help, customer service can turn into a hostage situation faster than you can dial 911. I was 19, working the front desk at a budget motel just off a lonely stretch of interstate. It was around 4 a.m. The lobby was small and depressing. It smelled like stale coffee and industrial sanitizer. It was the dead of winter, so we were barely at 20% capacity. Most of the rooms were dark. I was sitting behind the desk, reading a textbook, trying to stay awake for my morning classes, just waiting for the sun to come up. The automatic doors slid open with a hiss. A man walked in. He was tall, maybe in his 40s, wearing a long trench coat that looked expensive and completely out of place. It wasn't raining outside, yet his coat was buttoned all the way up. He didn't look around. He walked straight up to the desk, and he smiled at me. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was wide, tight. It didn't touch his eyes. He didn't ask for a room. He just stared at me. "Can I help you, sir?" I asked, forcing my most polite voice. He didn't blink. "I'm checking out," he said. His voice was deep, almost a vibration. "Okay," I said, reaching for the keyboard. "What room number?" "Room 212. I paused. I looked at the computer screen. Room 212 was empty. We hadn't rented that room in 3 days. The air conditioning unit was broken. It was leaking. "Sir," I said slowly, "that room is vacant. Nobody is checked in to 212. He leaned over the counter, too close, invading my space. "No," he whispered, "it's not." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a key. He placed it gently on the Formica counter. It wasn't a plastic key card like we use now. It was an actual old-fashioned metal key. This motel hadn't used metal keys in over 10 years. "She's waiting for you up there," he said. His smile widened. "You should go help her." He turned around and walked out the door without another word. He disappeared into the dark parking lot. I should have stayed put. I should have ignored it. But curiosity is a curse. I grabbed the master keycard and walked up the external stairs to the second floor. I stood outside room 212. It was freezing cold. I pressed my ear to the door. I could hear something inside, a low, rhythmic thumping sound. Thump, thump, thump. I knocked. "Hello? Front desk?" The door creaked open on its own. It wasn't latched. The room was pitch black. The thumping got louder. I reached inside to flip the light switch on the wall. My fingers brushed against something wet, sticky, smeared near the switch. The smell hit me instantly. Copper, the metallic smell of blood. I didn't turn the light on. I ran. I scrambled down the metal stairs so fast I almost tripped. I locked myself in the back office and called the cops. I watched the monitors, terrified he would come back. When the police arrived, they went up to the room with their guns drawn. They cleared the room. It was empty. No blood, no body. But on the bathroom mirror, written in bright red lipstick, were the words, "You should have looked." The metal key he gave me? The police took it into evidence. They traced it. It didn't belong to our motel. It didn't belong to any guest. It was a copy of the front door key to the house I grew up in, far away. He knew exactly who I was.
Which shift would you have quit immediately? The gas station, the office, or the motel? Let me know in the comments.